NASA, the United States Space Agency, has made numerous discoveries over the years, many of which have expanded our understanding of space, our solar system, and the universe. While most of these discoveries are awe-inspiring and enlightening, there have been a few that could be considered disturbing depending on one's perspective. Here are some of the most intriguing and potentially unsettling discoveries. Near-Earth objects, or NEOs as we often call them, are these fascinating and sometimes intimidating visitors from our solar system's backyard. Think of them as cosmic nomads that have been nudged by the gravitational pull of planets, bringing them into Earth's neighborhood. These NEOs are a mixed bag. Some are comets made mostly of ice with a sprinkle of dust, creating those stunning tails we see in pictures when they're close to the sun. Then there are asteroids, the rocky ones, leftovers from the solar system's early days. Now picture this. These NEOs are on all sorts of orbits, some stretching out in long, drawn-out paths that bring them swooping close to the Sun and, by extension, to our own planet. This is where it gets interesting and a bit unsettling. When we think about what these NEOs could do if they crossed paths with Earth, it's like a cosmic game of roulette. NASA and other space agencies keep a close eye on these celestial wanderers. They use telescopes both on the ground and in space to track their movements and predict where they're heading. It's a complex dance of calculations, taking into account the push and pull of gravity from other cosmic bodies. Now let's talk about the impact scenarios. Small NEOs, those less than 25 meters in diameter, usually burn up in our atmosphere. But remember the Chelyabinsk meteor back in 2013? That was a small one, and it still caused quite a stir with its shockwaves. Then we have the medium-sized NEOs, ranging from 25 to 140 meters. If one of these hit Earth, we're talking about serious regional destruction, like creating massive craters or even triggering tsunamis if they take a dive in the ocean. And let's not even start on the large NEOs, those over 140 meters. They're the real heavy hitters, capable of causing global catastrophes. Think dinosaur extinction-level events. Speaking of which, let's roll back the cosmic clock to the Cretaceous-Paleogene extinction event 65 million years ago. That was one massive asteroid that left the Chicxulub crater in Mexico. It's widely believed to have wiped out the dinosaurs along with a host of other species. Then there's the Tunguska event in 1908. A smaller NEO exploded over Siberia, flattening an enormous area of forest. It's a stark reminder of the power these space rocks hold, even the smaller ones. But when we start talking about the bigger ones, the medium to large NEOs, it's a whole different story. These guys are rarer, luckily for us. We're talking about something that happens maybe once in thousands or even millions of years. But if one of them decides to make an unexpected visit, it's big news. We're talking about events that can really shake things up on Earth, like the one that made the dinosaurs history. Now you might be wondering, can't we just predict when these space rocks will come calling? Well, despite all our fancy technology, it's still quite a challenge. The smaller NEOs are especially sneaky. They're tough to spot until they're almost on top of us. It's like trying to spot a firefly in a rock concert from the back row. But don't worry, we're not just sitting ducks here. There are some pretty cool ideas out there to prevent a cosmic smash-up. Scientists have thought about using what they call gravitational tractors, basically tugging an asteroid onto a different path. Then there's the idea of smacking it with a kinetic impactor, kind of like playing cosmic billiards. And if things get really serious, we could even go a bit Hollywood and think about using nuclear explosions to nudge them off course. It's like something straight out of a sci-fi movie. This is where teamwork comes into play. This is a global affair. Organizations like the United Nations are in on this, discussing how countries can share info and work together if a dangerous NEO is spotted. It's like forming a planetary defense team, just like in the movies, but for real. Keeping the public in the loop is key too. It's important that people understand what NEOs are and what risks they bring. And hey, who doesn't want to be prepared for an asteroid strike? Governments and agencies are working on plans for what to do if one of these space rocks has Earth in its sights. And the quest for knowledge continues. NASA and other space agencies keep their eyes peeled, watching the skies for any new NEOs and keeping tabs on the ones we already know about. Missions like NASA's OSIRIS-REx and Japan's Hayabusa 2 are even going out there, visiting these NEOs, getting up close and personal, bringing back souvenirs, samples, for us to study. Now moving on, imagine this. We're living in a universe where the story of Goldilocks and the Three Bears takes on a cosmic twist. In our sky, there are these special places around stars, known as the Goldilocks zone or the habitable zone. It's not too hot, not too cold, just perfect for liquid water, which we think is essential for life. Now that's a big deal because where there's water, there could be life as we know it. Now let's talk about how we find these potentially habitable exoplanets. There's this really cool method called the transit method. It's like when you're at a cafe and someone walks past the window, casting a shadow. Astronomers look for these shadows across stars to find planets. It's especially good for finding planets that like to snuggle close to their stars. But wait, there's more. There's also this thing called the radial velocity method. Imagine you're watching a friend on a merry-go-round. As they move towards and away from you, their speed seems to change. That's what astronomers look for in stars. They measure this wobble, caused by the gravitational tugs of orbiting planets, to find these hidden worlds. Now, let's talk discoveries. NASA's Kepler mission was like a planet-hunting superhero. It found thousands of exoplanets, many in habitable zones. One of its coolest finds was Kepler 452b, nicknamed Earth's cousin. Why? Because it's eerily similar to our home and sits comfortably in its star's Goldilocks zone. But the story doesn't end there. Enter TESS, the Transiting Exoplanet Survey satellite, which has a knack for finding exoplanets around the brightest stars. These are easier to study, giving us a better chance of understanding these distant worlds. And then there's TRAPPIST-1, the rock star of exoplanet systems. It's got 7 Earth-sized planets, with several in the habitable zone. It's like a cosmic jackpot, offering us a unique chance to study these worlds, peering into their atmospheres and, who knows, maybe find signs of life. So let's dive deep into the rabbit hole of what these exoplanet discoveries really mean for us, in a way that would make your head spin. First off, we've got these potentially habitable planets out there, and they're shaking up our whole understanding of the universe. It's like we've been living in this cosmic bubble, thinking Earth is the only place for life. But now we're looking up at the stars and realizing we might just be one of many. This isn't just science talking. It's a philosophical mind-bender. It's got people thinking and rethinking about everything from our special status in the universe to the big questions of creation itself. And then there's the whole theological angle. These discoveries are sparking some major conversations in religious and spiritual communities. It's like we're opening a new chapter in the book of creation, one where life might be scattered across the cosmos. It's a game changer, making us ponder the nature of divine creation and our place in it. Now let's talk about the hunt for ET. The search for extraterrestrial intelligence, or SETI, is out there, scanning the skies for any hint of alien chit-chat. It's like trying to tune into a cosmic radio station, hoping to catch a snippet of conversation from a civilization light years away. And the excitement's only going to ramp up with missions like the James Webb Space Telescope. This beast of a telescope is our ticket to peeping into exoplanet atmospheres, sniffing around for signs of life like water, oxygen, and maybe even little green guys. Okay, maybe not green, but you get the idea. But hold on, it's not just about finding life, it's about understanding life in all its wild and wonderful forms. Astrobiologists are having a field day with this. They're brainstorming about what life might look like on planets that are nothing like Earth. Think of it as biology, but with a sci-fi twist. And they're not just making wild guesses. They're looking at everything from the size of the planet to the type of star it orbits to figure out where life could pop up. But here's the kicker. What if we actually find intelligent life out there? It's a mind-boggling thought. How would we react? Would we reach out, say hello, and invite them over for cosmic coffee? Or would we keep our distance, just peeping through our cosmic telescope? It's not just a scientific question, it's an ethical and philosophical puzzle. And then there's this idea called the Great Filter. It's this theory that says, hey, maybe the reason we haven't found alien life is that there's some kind of cosmic roadblock that wipes out civilizations before they can phone home. It's a bit of a downer, but it's got scientists thinking about what that could mean for our future. Lastly, we've got to think about keeping our cosmic backyard clean. With all this talk about finding and maybe even visiting other planets, we've got to be super careful not to track our earthly germs all over the universe. It's like interstellar environmental protection, making sure we don't mess up other planets and they don't mess up ours. So what does all this mean? Well, it's changing the way we see ourselves in the universe. Every new planet we find in these habitable zones is like a new story waiting to be told. Could they host life? Are we alone?